Hey, Pete here, I hope you're all keeping well and having a lovely day. And today I want to talk to you about the game that Rainbow Six Siege could have been. You see, Siege was never intended to be the follow-up to the 2008 Rainbow Six Vegas 2. No, that was supposed to be Rainbow Six Patriots, a game that was being designed without multiplayer as the focus and without destruction and next-gen technologies in mind. This here is the story of Patriots' development woes, which ultimately inspired the birth of a game many of us know and love, Rainbow Six Siege. Rainbow Six Patriots was revealed in November of 2011 when a leaked video forced Ubisoft's hand and caused a premature announcement. It was slated for a 2013 release, which as we know now, would never happen. Patriots aimed to go down a different route and really shake up the Rainbow Six formula. While gameplay was still going to be tactical, with the observe, plan, act approach still being in place, and friendly and enemy AI getting a boost in brain power, the Ubisoft developers wanted to return to the visceral nature from the Tom Clancy books and focus on story above all else. There would still be multiplayer elements in there, but we weren't ever given too much information on that, aside from the fact it was to encourage teamwork as an essential component of the game, with players able to plan their positions, routes and strategies ahead of each round. Patriots would also have a co-op mode, but the story and the single player experience was clearly the priority and what was most talked about in the marketing materials and promotions that led up to launch. Now, a big reason for the discussion surrounding Patriots single player was the story it was telling was highly controversial. Rather than going down the usual route of Team Rainbow fighting against foreign terrorists, Patriots would pit the elite unit against a domestic threat, a group known as the True Patriots. The single player would put American versus American, featuring a New York City setting and various tragedies involving US civilians. This was intended to hit hard for a Western audience. What's more, though most of that campaign would have you playing as Team Rainbow, there were to be moments where players would be put in the shoes of civilians and first responders, experience the tragedy from a non-military trained, essentially powerless perspective. There would be no assault weapons to fight back with, no body armor or equipment, and no teammates at your back. Civilian sequences would have undoubtedly been used to make the True Patriots appear relentless as they used brute force to try and enact change in America. In addition to civilians, players would experience moments through the eyes of those True Patriots. Players would be forced to witness uncomfortable scenes from a first-person perspective, and since they're Americans, Ubisoft figured this might lead to some level of empathy or understanding for their actions. I get flashbacks to the Modern Warfare 2 airport scene here, which stirred up a lot of trouble back in 2009 if you remember. Playing a character who, for the greater good, was mowing down civilians to maintain his cover was a bold move then for Activision and Infinity Ward. Patriots seem to be aiming to have the same level of impact, only with scenes from within the US and drawn out for the entire campaign. It seems Ubisoft wanted players to feel emotionally connected to what's going on, making tough decisions even tougher. In the footage of Patriots that was released, we saw civilians left to die, and in one instance outright killed by Team Rainbow for the greater good. Players would act as judge, jury and executioner in what was clearly aiming to be a memorable single-player experience that could be revisited with different decisions made along the way. Unfortunately, that controversy seemed to spiral out of control, with even the name of the enemy, True Patriots, coming under fire for demonising patriotism. People were not happy and it was making the news, and this wouldn't have been so bad on its own, but Patriots was having other problems. Ubisoft Montreal had combined efforts with Ubisoft Toronto and Red Storm Entertainment to make Rainbow Six Patriots happen. At its peak, there were 150 people working on the game, but then the job cut started. March of 2012 saw many of the key staff members removed from the development process, and these included David Sears, the SOCOM veteran. Rainbow Six Patriots then went through development hell, with staff reporting that the game was continually failing to meet target deadlines, and management roles were being repeatedly filled and then emptied. The game was in a confusing place and the direction was clearly uncertain. One of the biggest reasons for Patriots' doom state, at least according to the developers, was trouble with the new engine. Previous Rainbow Six games had made good use of the Unreal Engine. Patriots was to use Ubisoft's proprietary Anvil Next, which had successfully powered Assassin's Creed titles. In theory, Anvil Next should have made Patriots look significantly more impressive than previous entries, with advanced facial and character animations and compartmentalized hitboxes making for some realistic reactions to gunshot wounds. In practice though, we've learned that Anvil Next was a hindrance, increasing development time and causing the game's frame rate to chug and become unsalvageable. It might have worked well in Assassin's Creed, but Anvil Next was not suitable for a first-person shooter. Adding further salt to that wound was the launch of the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, both taking place in 2013, the same year that Patriots was supposed to release. The problem here was that Patriots just wouldn't work on the next-gen platforms, as the current build of the Anvil Next engine just wasn't compatible. Developers did their best, but Patriots was doomed to be last-gen. This apparently was the last straw, the straw that broke the camel's back, with Ubisoft deciding to cancel Patriots, wipe the slate clean, and reset it all with a brand new Rainbow Six. As we know now, that would be Rainbow Six Siege, the title that would rise from the ashes of Patriots. Work on Siege, then referred to under the working title of Unbreakable, began in late 2012, with a team of just 25 developers focusing entirely on what made the Rainbow Six franchise stand out. A single-player story mode was no longer the priority here. In fact, the idea was tossed out entirely. It was deemed that Unbreakable would be gameplay first and foremost, built almost entirely from the ground up with PC and next-gen platforms in mind. The Anvil Next 2.0 engine allowed for incredible destruction effects which not only looked fantastic, but could be used to enhance the classic Rainbow Six gameplay. Those epic single-player moments and set pieces that looked great and shocking during years prior, well, they were now expected and exhausted. Siege wanted to make those explosive single-player moments and incorporate them into the multiplayer. Breaching a room from all angles against a team of real-life people was to be infinitely more satisfying than taking down AI bots. Players would have to anticipate the unpredictable actions of enemies controlled by real people and adapt to the almost limitless number of scenarios. This was all happening in secret, of course, though, with the gaming public not knowing the situation with Patriots or Rainbow Six in general. Players were anticipating some kind of announcement or delay, but there was very little to be heard through official channels. Then at E3 2014, Rainbow Six Siege was officially revealed and the cancellation of Patriots was confirmed. And then just over a year later, following plenty of teaser trailers and operator showcases, Siege launched on December of 2015. Initially, and looking back now, the multiplayer focus was met with some resistance at the time, as many Rainbow Six fans were looking forward to what Patriots had teased before. Gamers, quite understandably, also weren't fans of the $60 price tag at launch, as without a single-player campaign, many thought it should cost less. Of course, as we all know now, Siege soon won people over, and despite a fairly rocky release that demanded quick support and a slew of updates, Ubisoft Montreal now has a game that is getting bigger and bigger year on year, which has been transformed into a service that players seem willing to continually invest money into to support. Siege has a planned lifespan of up to 10 years, which only a multiplayer-focused game could accomplish. Though a waste of resources and no doubt a horrific experience for the Ubisoft Montreal developers and team that worked on the game, Patriots was a great indicator at what not to do when it came to the next Rainbow Six game. That period they went through in development hell essentially forced Ubisoft to double down on what made the franchise so great to begin with. Pushing tactical gameplay above all else in a multiplayer shooter that was up to modern standards was clearly the right move. Releasing a game only for the older generation of consoles wouldn't have ever been a success. I'm going to end this video today with a full uninterrupted debut trailer for Rainbow Six Patriots so you can watch it without me talking over the top. Before I roll that trailer, I want to ask you though, what do you think of Rainbow Six Patriots? Are you happy that we got Siege instead? Or is there a part of you that really would have loved a traditional Rainbow Six campaign? There is no doubting that Siege has been wildly successful, up there as one of my favourite games of all time in fact. But if there ever is any sequel to Rainbow Six Siege in the years ahead, I would dearly love a campaign to go with the multiplayer. I look forward to your thoughts, and as always, thank you ever so much for watching. Without further ado, I'll now roll the trailer for the game that never was. Take care, and until next time, adios, amigos.
This is the day we've been waiting for. Years of training, years of sacrifice. This is for the jobs you streamlined, the debts you collected. This is for the homes you foreclosed on, the bailouts you took. We are the true patriots. It's time for a new balance of power. You may not answer to the governments, but you will answer to us. Get him up.